Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining on a pretty nice day today. We appreciate your time here and a brief webinar on kind of utilizing Bluebeam to increase some remote productivity. We do have you muted here just to limit some background noise. If anybody's having issues with sound, feel free to send us a chat on the Skype line, and we will get those answered. If you do have some questions or comments during at any time, feel free to utilize the chat window, and we can either respond via chat, or I'll just walk you through a response through the webinar here. So like I said, if you have any issues on video or audio, go ahead and drop it in the chat. IT can give you a hand, and we'll kind of get kicked off here. So thanks for joining again. I'm Nick Frederiksen with ISG. Been a project manager here for just going on 22 years. So it's been a long road here, and been utilizing Bluebeam for since about the beginning of 2013. So ISG as a firm started using this whole office approximately 4.5 to 5 years ago, and has just really found it as a good piece of software to collaborate more efficiently there. Joining me in the background will be a couple of designers and engineers on providing some external markup so we can see how that works in a studio session. But today's goal is really, the primary goal is to show you how Bluebeam Studio can assist with remote productivity, and hopefully you can gain a few tips and tricks along the way to use in your everyday use of Bluebeam. As far as your responses online, it seems to be about 50 to 60% of the people in the session here today have utilized Bluebeam in the past at different levels, or are looking to purchase it in the near future. So it's going to be a little bit of a higher overview. We won't dive too deep into anything. Like I said, if you have some questions or concerns or anything, don't hesitate to drop them in the chat window. For those of you that don't know what Bluebeam is really it's a PDF software that's designed for the AE world. So it's geared towards architects, engineers, construction professionals, and the owners also have a very good use for it too on their end, on the collaboration aspect of it. So outside of the collaboration, it's a software that does PDF creation, editing, markup, utilizing different workflows and data. You can use it across the entire life cycle of a project. So from the preliminary conceptual stage, through the design, through design development, all the way through final design, and all the way through as-built and project closeout. So being able to collaborate through all of those aspects of that allow us to be more transparent on projects, and really just get a better outcome in the end, which is that's our goal on looking to increase the efficiencies here. So Bluebeam has the remote productivity part of that. It's kind of unique to Bluebeam in itself for the PDF, and being able to use that in this type of environment that we're currently in allows us to excel. With COVID-19 right now, we're high percentage of us are working from home or remote locations in order for social distancing, and this allows us to have real-time feedback on all of our review sessions here. So how can it help you? It's a tool for the industry. It can increase efficiencies. You have abilities, to measure, to create overlays, to differentiate with colors. You can actually do project staging with it. You can do snapshots of existing conditions or intended outcomes to share with the team in a more fluid manner on it. And then you can use it all the way through design and bidding. So as it expands, it can integrate to a lot of other day-to-day operations in your business too. When you get into the extreme version of, and you can do forms and so forth. So we won't be touching on that today. The real goal is to focus on the collaborative review, which is what Bluebeam calls a studio session. So studio sessions, what is it? A studio session is really an online tool that utilizes the Bluebeam cloud to collaborate and have markups in real time. As people mark up in a session, you can see it in real time. So really, we'll just kind of start on going through how to set up a session, and then you guys, if you have Bluebeam, you can join a session. If you don't, you can download Bluebeam off of the Bluebeam website. You can download a trial. It downloads pretty quickly. It will actually give you a 30-day use of the software, the full version of the software. After 30 days, it will revert back to it's called Bluebeam View, which Bluebeam View just allows you to view documents. But there's a way to do markups with it if the person who starts a studio session has the full access version of Review. Bluebeam sessions and what that is. The first we need to do is actually joining a session. So there's a number of different ways to join a session on here. This is the current session that we're in for this webinar. On it, if you do have Bluebeam, you can go ahead and go up to, let me leave the session here. You can click the plus on all sessions. So the studio is this little studio box out of the default out of the box. You can click the plus and join a session. And this would be where you type in that studio ID number that was just on the screen. I'll jump back into that session right now. So that is one way to join a session on it. So you have to create an account, and then you can type that in. Then you guys can have access to the session and do markups in the background live on any of the documents here if you would deem necessary here, just to see how that works. The other way to join a session is you can invite people to the session. So you can simply add their invites via email address for them to join the session, or you can copy the invitation, which will give you the actual session information and the ID for you to click on. The email session that you would get from Bluebeam looks something similar to this. On here, it will tell you who created it, the session, the name of it, and the session ID. So this is just a new startup session here. So I can click on that. It will take you right to, if you have access, it will take you right to that session. Inside of that session, you also have policies that you can implement for external or internal use and who has access. So each session has a settings tabulation here, and that setting is really going to control the session name, the attendees, and the permissions of the attendees. The attendees can be grouped by group policy or individual policy. You can restrict attendees so that only people that have that exact email address get access to the attendees, or you can open it up to anybody to get access as long as they have the session ID number. Outside of that, after you group them, you can then give permissions to each group and or each user, from simple view only to markup to full control. And full control means they can add, delete, remove documents, etc. So that is where you control your sessions at there. After you get a session opened, a session is just that combination place in the cloud that you can store all of your documents for review. A couple of different ways to add documents. One of them, you can do a mass adding of documents, which is just coming in and selecting multiple documents, opening them. That will put those documents in the cloud, so it will copy them over to the Bluebeam cloud and get everybody who has access to that session access to that document. The other way to add a file to the session or a PDF file to the session is you can open a PDF. So PDFs can be opened and you can mark them up and do everything outside of a session. But if you add those to a session, if you have it open, you can simply right-click and add that to an open studio session. This one can be right in the studio session then, and then everybody can mark it up and you can see that those works in real time as you move through the project development. Jumping back to our webinar session here, if anybody wants to add this session to their Bluebeam, go ahead and sign in. The number is on the screen here, which is 329-991-300 on there. I'll leave that up here just for a couple minutes as we chat about a couple other things on Bluebeam to give you guys a chance to join if you would like to. So collaboration here, you can get real-time alerts. You can get instant feedback as people provide their comments and markups on whatever documentation you have in the session. And then also collects and stores the data, the time, the author of the markups, and what those markups are. So that's really nice. You can see when people added review documents, when they added review comments, when those comments were corrected, and so forth. So it gives you a way to audit everything that is done in that review session. Outside of that, jumping into, now we got Wanda join. Awesome, guys. Thanks, Shane, for joining in there. Feel free to comment on whatever you'd like in there is great. We'll redo this for tomorrow anyways. So we dropped a quick site plan on here. I know there's a lot of different aspects of people joining here, from interior design, industrial, DOT, healthcare, and so forth. So the other thing you got is the presenter, myself, and the other people online for ISG are civil project managers, civil designers, and civil engineers. So we'll go through a little bit of some civil markup and how you can do that and how you can track that here. It would apply to any other types of markups too. It's just different toolboxes that you would use to do those markups with it. Looking at markup tools, Bluebeam gives you a lot of additional functionality over another software like Adobe, versus it's geared towards AE professionals. So you can have, you can draw lines, circles, ellipses, squares, polygons, revision clouds, text editing, whiteouts, stamps, insert photos, snippets, etc. So all of those tools come default in the box, and then all of them can be customized also. In order to get your tool palettes on the screen, you can right-click on any of the areas and simply turn them on and off, whatever ones you would like to have on your screen that you're comfortable using, and just how busy you want your screen for the most part. What's nice to also control on that is you can get profiles. So if you are a company instituting this, company-wide or discipline-wide, you can set up profiles that can be civil-based or standard company-based or quantity takeoff-based. And those people can simply switch back and forth in those profiles that are allocated by the company in order to have the best tools at their hand to perform their work. We'll stay pretty much in the review advanced. It's a default one that comes in the box here as far as what those tools will be shown on the screen. So command-wise, if you can't, it's not completely similar to AutoCAD, but it is very similar in a certain aspect of a number of things. Eric, can you mute everyone? Can you mute everyone? Not on mute. He's not on mute. All right, now I don't have to just hear myself on the phone. So those come from text boxes, drawing lines, arrows, shapes, etc. All of those can be customized on what your default settings are that you would like to see, from font size to color to shape and all of those aspects with it. Pretty simple. Click on a command and do that work. So, draw a line, draw a polyline. If you draw a polyline in the wrong spot, simply a backspace will remove the last PI in that area, so you don't have to redo the entirety of that command on it when you're done. If you need to draw on a polar aspect, if you hold in shift, it will quadrant and quarter quadrant out for 45 degrees for you, just to clean up your markups a little bit. Like I said, the markups can be very in-depth and they can be very rudimentary, just depending on your level of use within Bluebeam. So as far as the collaboration of markups, there's a lot of other tips and tricks in the drawing of all these markups we can cover at the end if we have time. I'd really like to jump in and just show markups being completed in the collaborative environment. So we did start this a little bit early as far as a couple comments here that were done as soon as my screen loads. There it goes. All right, so this is just a standard cookie cutter civil site plan that we're looking to mark up here. So you can see the person forgot the project name. So, all right, I have to do the project name. I didn't put that on there, somebody else did. In that regards, they also alerted me on this work. So if you right click, you can alert an attendee. You can pick any attendee you would like and alert them. What that will do is it will give them a notification that, hey, this is here, I have a question on it, please answer it, or please take action on that at this time. And you can add comments to that notification and a number of other things also. That notification will come as a markup alert. Now you can have single markup alerts and numerous markup alerts in one email. So being how simple this one is, was a text box that says, I need to put the project name in there. Alex notified me of it. It's on sheet C 3.12, detailed site plan, and left the other items blank. What's kind of nice about this is there's actual multiple items that they sent me information on that, hey, you have to do this work. You forgot a number of things. I don't have to go into on a large site plan and sort by sheet and try to do this myself. I can simply click on the link, that's a hyperlink there, and it will take me right to that work that I need to do or that I need to comment on. That provides me an opportunity to comment on it, to alert somebody else, and reply to it. So I can reply to that comment on So if someone needs to know I can reply to their comment that they had on their notification, and that text box right here now has my comment associated with it linked below it. Now it gives them direction to continue their review as they work through the project. What's nice about the status of the review is I can jump around to any of these comments. That's the project number there. Sheet number is down there. Project name is up there. So I can jump around the project anywhere I want just by this here. Let's say that I go in there and I fix this in my design drawings. So I've looked at the note, which is sheet title is detailed site design. So that has to go in there. So I'm done with that now. So I need to check that off of my list of to-do examples. This is where the status changes come in beneficial to everybody on the project. So I can go in here and I can say I completed that work. So that is complete. So now I have marked that to-do task complete. So that red line or that comment, that markup is completed, is taken care of. I don't have to worry about that anymore. As you can see, The color did change here for us on there. We've set up some of our own profiles here to where as things are reviewed and status changes from completed, canceled, I'm going to reject that comment, no, we're not going to do that, and accepted, it will change color for us. So we do red to green on there to show that that is completed. How that's beneficial is green means it's done, so it's a visual representation. And also, if you go down into a markup list, so every comment that gets placed on here and every action that gets done on studio session gets recorded within the markup list. So you can sort quickly by date, by author, who did it, what is going on within the project there, and just follow along with who's doing their work. As people mark up in the drawing, this will continue to populate by where they're at, what they're doing, any comments, etc. So you can see Alex has added a dimension cloud. So if I'm in here, if I want to see that, I can say, oh, we forgot to dimension that area there. So go in your design drawings and you can dimension that. What's also nice, if you need to check something, Bluebeam also does have full measurement capabilities also, which is linear area, polygonal, perimeter, radius, etc. So it's pretty detailed on what you can do there. So all right, I need to measure. So I need to check this here. So I'm going to measure between the 2 points. It's going to ask me a scale. So this drawing has a predefined scale, which is set up already. So I can either input it or I can calibrate it. If you have a drawing that is set up and unable to be or does not have any scale on it, but you just have a measurement somewhere that you can measure to, you can calibrate that PDF, whether it be a scanned PDF or an actual vectored PDF, to calibrate there to do any quantity takeoff and measurements during that process if you'd like. So I'm just going to do input because we know it's a preset. It's a 1 to 20 drawing. So I'm gonna hit 1 to 20. Precision, I'm just gonna do down to the nearest inch in that area. It's only gonna do the 1 page range because I only have one drawing in here. I'm gonna apply that scale. So I'm gonna apply that scale. We have 17 feet, 8 inches between those 2 points on there. So that works across the entire viewport of this document. You can see up here, there's a small area that is blue on here that's highlighted out. That is not within the measurement viewport of the 1 to 20 scale. So that would have a different scale if you had any measurement options within that area. So you can go and calibrate to this viewport, and you can calibrate to this viewport in order to measure appropriately if you need to do some measurements on the project. So as you can see, they continue to add a number of comments on there, and that gives us the opportunity to go through and sort those comments and review those and comment on each of those. So you can have, I don't believe it's unlimited, but we've had 200 people in a session before, and it's worked. Everybody can review and comment appropriately, but it just gives you that idea to be able to work around and search through and do all of your review collaboration appropriately. You don't have to be in the same office, the same network, or anything like that. As long as you have that studio ID number, you can get in there and do all of this review collaboratively. So as you click through the markup list, it's gonna take you around, and you can see what they're commenting on and what they're doing, from defining lines like, all right, they want to put the water main loop around the outside of the cooling tower. So they've now struck this off and added the water line there as the comment from the review engineer. So if I'm in my design drawing and doing that work, like I said, status, I can click on that work. I can right click. I can either alert somebody to do that work, or I can do the work, go in there, I can put the status, and I can complete the work. All right, I'm done. I did that work. I moved that water line. I took this line here and I deleted it. So I've completed both of those actions. So now we got that visual representation. And it also looks down and it states that on that line, I've completed that line. So that line was marked up by Chris Frederiksen at that time. I completed that status at 3:25 on that day. And this follows through the entire life of the studio project. So it's a living document that keeps it through from beginning to end that you can export and store at the very end of the project outside of the studio session. So benefits of that. We've utilized at ISG, use this in-house across all of our offices just to collaborate efficiently across all of our offices. We're a multidisciplinary firm. We've been, in business for about 47 years, using this for 4.5 to 5 years in the collaborative environment. And this allows us to put the right people on the right job working together through every part of the design aspect of it. Outside of that, we also utilize this between owners and agencies and engineers. So what we can do is we have a document that we'll send out on collaborative review in here, which kind of sets up how to get connected and what to do with Bluebeam review and Bluebeam view. But prime examples of this are city submittals, DOT submittals, owner submittals, so forth. You're able to set up a owner review session, put the documentation inside of that session. That owner can then share that session with any of their review engineers or staff that they need to for providing comments. They don't have to have a paid version of Bluebeam. They can download the free Bluebeam view and do all of their work on commenting within that session. That, in turn, everybody can see it at the same time. Everybody can start updating at the same time, all the way through the process. When the process is done, you can export the drawings out to keep the markup list, and you can also export out a summary of all of the work that was done on there. If you have work that was done to return comments back to a consultant or back to an owner, you can go through there and apply a label to those, sort by that label, export those comments out to a CSV or a PDF on it. Export those comments out, and we'll provide you a report of all of that work that was done. I probably should have sorted that a little bit better, because you're going to get all 35 of them here as it works in the background. So that report can be just simply put back in the studio session or sent off to whoever it needs to be to take action on all of those comments. Let that process for a second. All of these reports can be customized to however you want them to look. You just got to go in your profiles and customize appropriately on that. So this is going to go through all of the markup examples that were done on the project in a PDF, who completed it, when it was completed, when it was done, who marked it up across the board. So it gives you a good summary of actions taken on that project and what you need to do if there's anything outstanding or any additional comments that need to be made. Inside of that, doing these comments and doing these markups, there's a number of different tools you can use to do them. We went over just a simple, following along on the toolboxes on what is available out of the box to you guys. You can also customize tools on here too. So they have toolboxes they have here, which you can create your own tools for on it. So ISG plan review, you can see we've got just some basic clouds and removals and stuff like that that you can grab quickly and drop and use on there, so you don't have to find that command all the time. So a simple call out here. So I want them to label the radius, even though it's already labeled right beside it. Zoom back in. So it just puts more tools easy at your fingertips is what it does. The other thing to do is you can build tools also. So one of the easiest ones to think about is grouping information for I'm going to use spot elevation since we're in the civil engineering world. We need to place spot elevations along here. So in that regards, we can build a tool. So this was just grouped together. It's a line, it's a dot, and text. We've grouped that together, added that to the toolbox, which is pretty straightforward. There, it's not gonna work. You can add that to your toolbox and then use that over and over through the project. There's one, oops, yeah. Like I said, that was a group. So that was a dot, a line, and text. So what I did is I ungrouped it here just to show the three separate entities of that there. Selecting follows just like AutoCAD, where if you select to the right, you have to totally encompass. If you select to the left, it just has to touch it, and then it will select it. So if I go back, I can regroup this back together on that. That will turn that back into a spot elevation tool, an indicator of that. And you can go, and then I can add that back to my tools, because when I ungrouped it, it removed it from the tool palette. So I'm going to re-add that back to my tools. Now I have group spot elevation. I can go and I can drop those in. So it gives you the ability, kind of unlimited ability to kind of mark up plans exactly how you see fit. It's also kind of nice if you have, depending on what discipline that you work in the AE world, you can go through and download additional tool chests right from Bluebeam. They have a number of tool chests right online that you can download, and you don't have to build them all yourself with that. So sorting, completing, and commenting. We've gone through a number of different ways to comment and sort. And this has been the biggest thing for us, is being able to sort these, because if I know that there's a lot of things that still need to be done, I can actually sort by all the ISG completed on it. And I can sort that, and they'll be there. So I know that I have to still do all of these other comments in a project. Whether it's myself or whether it is the design team, it doesn't matter, because we can all be in this at the same time. Few other little tips and tricks on here for the ones that are familiar with AutoCAD. Bluebeam also has a number of shortcut keys to use here. They've actually, one of the very few, they've embedded them right in their help menu on there. So if you go up to help, pull that down, you can see keyboard shortcut guide on there. There's a number of shortcuts that you can utilize to expedite your work. Coming from us that have been outside of the, or coming into CAD from AutoCAD 14, keyboard shortcuts were very beneficial way back when, and they still are here. So these come in very handy, whether you're doing markups, whether you're measuring, anything like that. You can flip through these very, very quickly in order to just be a little bit more efficient in your work. In any markups in Bluebeam, you also have the ability to snap, just like AutoCAD does too. So you can turn snapping on and off. Snapping is down in this menu here. It is actually, it's kind of hidden in the tools. It's under, forgot what that. It's F8, if you were wondering. So F8 will turn the the status menu on and off for you. The status menu allows you to put grid on to snap to. It allows you to put gridded lines on, and do a number of other things. So snap to is one of them that's used quite regularly. to do any drawing. So standard continuous line. Every aspect that you do for markup has properties associated with it for color, fills, opacity, custom line work on there. You can utilize different line types on the project. You know, hot water, gas, a lot of these can be downloaded right from Bluebeam. You can create your own custom line types. If anybody's interested in that, shoot me an email afterwards. We can walk through on how to create a custom line type for you on that and get that imported into your profile. It comes in very handy in order to do markups appropriately. A couple of other tools that you can use outside of it. So this is pretty much covering how you can collaborate across anywhere through the cloud on a project to get your reviews done faster with no paper and hold everybody accountable to them. There's a few things you can do outside of a studio session that you can't do in a session on that. And one of those is dynamic legends. That is very beneficial for some basic quantity takeoff. So this is the same site plan. It's opened. It is just that it is not within a session right now. So what we've done is we've gone through and just added some random spot elevations here, some ellipses on where some intakes are on that. So, and what that does is you can add these ellipses and these spot elevations to a legend. Those legends will update. They're very dynamic. So you can, if you're dropping in gate valves or trying to do gate valves on a water main, it will keep adding those up. They're all by count. You can customize this also. This is just the basic out-of-the-box legend that you can do. So if I go through my toolbox and I go to design symbols or construction symbols and I need to add another gate valve, I add my gate valve here, it will then increase my gate valve count. Gives you an easier way to do some secondary checks on quantity takeoff in the future. And it just keeps dynamic. That only works per page. So if you have a multiple sheet document, this basic legend only works for each page that you have. It will not be dynamic across pages. If you do go towards the Review Extreme version, the Review Extreme version allows you to export that information out dynamically across all of the pages into Excel document for improved quantity takeoff. A little bit on measurement tools. Measurement tools are, like I said, you can calibrate, you can measure just about anything, you can do areas. I think there's one on here. Let me move the mouse. You can do checks as contractors, you can check the engineer's work, you can check the designer's work, etc. Like I said, it's all calibrated to whatever scale you have on the project. I did not do a very good job of snapping there. Like I said, the snapping is it will pick hatches, it will pick just about anything on there because it actually snaps to how it was printed. There hasn't been any questions at this time. Is there any questions before we kind of jump on to some random little tips and tricks here and there on a couple of things? I haven't seen anything come across the chat window yet. So there you can see the measurement of the parking stalls is actually varies due to the array of the parking lots. Outside of the review session, which we've kind of gone through in a high level so far and marked a few things up, sorted, marked them to complete, jumping into other documentation, you can, it's a fully operational PDF software. Ed asked, do the tasks and notes link back to the AutoCAD drawing for changes, revisions in CAD? Ed, no, they don't link back directly to CAD, but they do stay in the Bluebeam PDF software. So as part of that review, you're utilizing that studio in replacement of your paper documents in order to provide that collaborative review. Yes, other markups, they come in real time. There is some, so Ryan asked if markups come in real time. I don't know if any, there's 4 other people in the session. If you open up this document, feel free to do some text or whatever, and the markups will come through in real time for that. If anybody can find a way to link him back to a CAD drawing, I definitely entertain that option, but that's not something that we've been able to do. We utilize this for our quality control on there, so we want this separate from the CAD document because we are verifying that this work is being reviewed, corrected, verified, and then we kick that back out. Apologize for that. I was in the wrong site plan. People are putting some comments in. So there's a test markup. The test markup, you can look, was completed by Alex on here. EP Lee did a revision cloud, which is apparent here. So revision cloud there, I can go in there, I can reply on that. And if I have some questions to Mr. Lee, I can ask them. You know, it's just some simple real world stuff. So now that gets responded as a comment to that box, and then you can go through and continue your commenting and markups in those regards. So yeah, as people draw lines on here, I mean, somebody can just draw a line across the whole page and everybody will, you'll see it real time. So that's, like I said, that's the collaborative benefit of that review. Yeah. And there's a line that shouldn't be in the drawing. What's nice about this too, since somebody drew this line in here or somebody did this clouded markup, I cannot remove this markup. This markup stays in the drawing unless the original person removes it. And if he removes it, placement of it is tracked and removal of it is tracked by that said person, so that you can always go back and audit your review drawings to do that. As with any PDF software, you can, add, remove files outside of a studio session. The studio session allows you to add documents if you have permission, but if you have a multi-page document in a studio session, you cannot remove individual pages out of that document or insert individual pages into that document. That is by design by Bluebeam in order to keep the document that's in there on that review in place. The changes need to happen outside of that review. highlighting. So it's going through and highlighting a number of different things through that. So that's another tool that you have. Highlighting, so kind of a unique aspect of it, highlighting can be freehand and it can also be text-based. If you are text-basing, it will just allow you to go over that text and stop. If you're freehanding, you can go anywhere. If you are consistently getting text and you want to go freehand, if you hold in, this is the shift key. Now, let me undo that. I didn't mean to. So as you're highlighting text, if you hold in the control key, it will allow you to go back to freehand over that area where it would not normally allow you to highlight text. So there's a number of tips and tricks that way on it. Drawing arcs, to do a 3-point arc, you hold in an Alt, and then you can do a 3-point arc on it. We got somebody added a note here. So that note is mine. What would you like to see in that space? Because I commented on that, but now he's deleted that cloud, but that note still follows. So that is down here as a color yellow because that is just a comment on a previous cloud. There is also the ability to you can extract documents for review locally if you'd like. So I only have a single 2-page document in here. So these are the thumbnails of the pages. I can go through and extract a page, just this one page here. It will open it up. It will ask me where to save it. And now it's pulled that single page out of the session for me to do something with outside of the session. None of the markups will go back into the session with that. So it gives you the opportunity, if you have a question on a whole document page but you don't want to send the whole thing, you can extract a single page out of a plan set, send that to somebody and ask for clarification on that if you need to. We typically like to see that done by being within the document and adding review text, review markup, to clarify an item, and then you alert that attendee that they need to go and clarify that item. They need to do some markups. They need to do some changes there. Outside of that, it's kind of a high level. You can see that somebody's been correcting some spot elevations. Anybody can go in and right-click and set statuses. If you use out-of-the-box status, it won't change the color. Like I said, that was it won't change the color. It won't give you that visual representation, but it will mark it complete on a status that I accepted that and it was completed at that time. So that's some changes from out of the box that we did in our profile setup. If somebody's got questions on profiles, drop me an email after this. I'm happy to walk you through some profile changes to get that set up for anybody if you have questions. Outside of that, I know that there may be a number of you that have had Bluebeam, that have it now. We have a small number inside of the software on it. If you would like to have a test session to play around in, I'm happy to create that for you. You'll have full access to that session to do some markups, to do testing of collaborative review on your end and your companies there. Especially in this time of social distancing, I think it's beneficial to share the software and share our resources as we continue to work through all of this current status of our society. So, with that, is there anything, would anybody want to dig deeper into anything out there? Like I said, we really wanted just a high-level collaboration here as an example on there. We just had a couple questions on it so far. Outside of that, does anybody else have any questions that they would like to, or at least attempted an answer on? I don't see much coming through at this time. We have a follow-up coming out. We'll give you a couple of handouts on how to join a session and how to review. That'll come in a follow-up email there. Like I said, don't hesitate to reach out. We're happy to get a session set up for you guys, give you full access to them. You can use them appropriately as you guys test this, and whatever works best for you and your business, your municipality, etc. So otherwise, that is the end of what we have for today. Appreciate your time, and reach out with any questions. Thank you.